Hey everybody, Dr. Phil here. This is going to be a video on kind of an introduction to some basic things in Excel, kind of talking about just kind of getting started in Excel and some very, very easy, very basic functions. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so let's talk about what is Excel. So basically Excel, it's basically a spreadsheet program. Very helpful, by the way. It can make you look really good in your job. It can also take a lot of time out of things too. It can be a real, if you know how to use it right, it can be a real big time saver. So it's a program to record, analyze, and present data arranged in the form of a spreadsheet. And just think, I'm sure you all know what a spreadsheet is. You've got Google Sheets, you've got, Microsoft Excel. Back in the day, there was Lotus. Remember my dad talking about that one. Um, a spreadsheet is a grouping of text and numbers in a rectangular grid or table. Although I'm thinking we probably already knew that. So it's a little more about Excel. It's an extensive and powerful program supporting a wide variety of commands and tools, as you will see in these videos. If you're unsure about the function of an Excel command, or you want info about how to accomplish a task, you can use the help system. So there's a help function in Excel. You can just hit that, and it'll try to give you, contextual information about this is what you looks like. This is what you're trying to do. These are some things that might help you. All right, so think of a workbook just as, when you first open Excel, you've got a bunch of cells. That's basically the workbook. Um, there can be two kinds of sheets in the workbook. The worksheet's going to contain a grid of rows and columns, and that's obviously where you put your data in. And then a chart sheet can also provide a visual representation of data, right? The cell reference identifies the column, the row location, so like C5, or D2. So A, B, C, D, L on the top, and then one, two, three, four rows alongside. Now, when you're done with the workbook, you can just hit the X when you close it. It might ask you if you haven't saved it already, it'll pop up. It won't let you close it without saving it, or at least ask you if you want to save it. And then you can, think about where you want to save it to, and you can also give it a name. Now, what about planning a workbook? So we can use a planning analysis sheet to define the goal or purpose of the workbook, the type of data that we're going to want to collect, because there's different types you can use, um, the formulas needed to apply to data you collected and entered, and then also the appearance of the workbook contents. So if you want to start a new workbook, you can create new workbooks from the new screen in Backstage View. So you can literally just hit File, and then just click New in the navigation bar. And then you'll have different options. You can just hit blank workbook. Now, as far as entering text data and numbers, the text data, you can enter a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols. It's often referred to as a text string, so like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or you can do a combination of both. Numeric data, so numeric values to be used, for example, in a mathematical calculation, and then date and time data. So commonly recognized formats for date and time values. Also undoing and redoing an action. Um, you can just hit that little back arrow. It'll kind of take you back to and then you can also go forward again if you're like, oh wait, I don't need to go that far back. I can move forward again. If you want to edit the cell contents, if you want to replace all of the content in a cell, you can just select the cell and then just type the new entry right over it, and it'll just automatically delete what was in there before. If you want to replace only part of a cell, then probably the easiest way, you can switch it to edit mode, or you can just double click into the cell, and then you can go to, you can select where you want to change and just do it that way. So here's kind of an example, right? So we can see here we've got I put the person's name here, Harmon Estrada, just made that up. Um, and then the text covers, you notice that the text covers all the empty cells to the right. So purpose, I just put to estimate expenses at the MEDIC convention. And you notice this is all in cell B5, but you notice how it's just kind of covering everything else. Now, when you start typing in cells C, D, and E, that'll all go away. There's the undo button I was referring to, and there is the redo button. So undo is taking you back, redo is taking you forwards. Um, as we can see here, the insertion point appears in the cell in edit mode, and then when you sort of put new text in, it's inserted into the cell. And again, it'll keep going across, but if you started typing something in C, D or E, this would disappear because it looks a little confusing. So it looks like it's in like B, C, D. It's not. It's just in B. It's just spreading it out because it knows there's nothing in cells C through H. And then the status bar indicates that Excel is in edit mode if you look down at the bottom left. All right. So as you type text in the active cell, Excel tries to figure out, and I'm sure we're all used to this, sort of the predictive text. A lot of phones have it now. By displaying text that begins with the same letters as a previous entry in the same column. This feature is known as autocomplete, and it helps making entering repetitive text easier and reduces data entry errors. So if you see it's good, you can just hit Tab, and it'll just fill it in for you. Okay. All right, so Excel recognizes dates in many standard date formats. So just some examples here, like if it was April the 6th, you could put 4/6/2025 or just 25. You can also put dashes in. You can see the little hyphens here. You can type in literally April 6th, comma 2025, or you can also abbreviate April APR. So just wanted to show you that there's different ways you can put the dates and stuff in. All right. So about resizing columns and rows. So a pixel is an individual point on a computer monitor or printout. You've probably heard something is pixelated, right? Um, a column width of 8.43 characters is equivalent to about 64 pixels. You can change the width of multiple columns at once. You can select a range of columns, click the first column heading in the range, and just hold down Shift, and then click the heading of the last column, or click and drag the pointer over the column headings. And then what it'll do is, rather than having to do like, you know, multiple at the same time, or multiple individually, you can do multiple at the same time. So the column width is expressed in terms of the number of characters or pixels. And again, the pixel size is based on screen resolution. Obviously, depending on what type of computer you have, you can adjust that resolution. For the row height, it's measured in points. So typically 1/72th of an inch. I think I just made up a word. And the default row height is 15 points or 20 pixels. So what about wrapping text within a cell? So wrapping text increases the row height to display any additional new lines added in the cell. So you can resize the width of column as appropriate. So what you do here is you select the cells you wish to apply the wrapping to, go up to the Home tab, in the Alignment group, click the Wrap Text button, and if the Wrap Text button is toggled on, the text in the selected cells that exceeds the column width will it'll just basically just go, rather than going across, it'll just start going down to a new line. Very simple. A little bit about formulas I wanted to kind of touch on in this video. A formula is basically an expression that returns a value, think like a mathematical expression. So a formula is written using operators or mathematical symbols that combine different values, resulting in a single value that's then displayed in the cell. So once you're done, the cell it won't show you the whole formula, it'll just display the answer. The most common operators are arithmetic operators that perform mathematical calculations such as adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and also exponentiation. All right, so if you want to enter a formula, whatever cell you want to enter it in, just click the cell where you want the formula results to appear, type equals, and then an expression that calculates a value using cell references and arithmetic operators. The cell references will allow you to change the values used in the calculation without having to modify the formula itself, which is kind of a handy tool. And then when you're done, you just press Enter or Tab to complete the formula. You can also copy and paste formulas. Cell references will adjust to reflect the new location of the formula in the worksheet. So that's a pretty handy function too. That's one thing that you can learn about. All right, so let's talk a little bit about functions. So the function is the named operation that returns a value. So this is a way to simplify a formula. It reduces a long formula into a compact statement. So for example, to add values in the range A1 through A10, you could enter the long formula, go all the way A1 through A10, or you could just literally put sum, open parentheses, A1 colon A10, close parentheses, and just get the same thing. So you get the same result either way. It's just a quicker way to do it. So it's a fast, convenient way to enter commonly used functions. So these includes buttons to quickly insert or generate. So for example, sum is one, you can put equals and then sum, equals average. You can do count if you want to count the number of numeric values in a column or row. You can also do min and max, minimum, maximum. And again, it's just always equals and then the function. So just by way so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, you can see the formula in the top here in the formula bar. The sum function adds the values in the selected range. So I just put equals sum. open parentheses, F11 through F15. That's the cell range. Close, hit enter, and then it'll just give you the value. Okay. Um, the screensaver at the bottom shows the syntax of the sum function down here, so you can kind of see it down here. And that'll you'll only see that when at this point that'll go away once you hit enter. All right, so that was just a quick video on some of the sort of the intro aspects of Excel. Um, so I will see you all in another video. Take care.